This is Cruise Control. Your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin. Because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
And hello, welcome to everyone. This is Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. You know that. You listen to us or watch us every week. And you know that we've got a bunch of stuff about the auto industry. And any day to talk about cars is a good day. So we're going to do that. Right next to me is Fred Staab, who is going to start us off. And of course, you know Fred very, very well. So, Fred, what's up?
Hey, thanks for the lead up, Les. Appreciate it. And we're going to start off with an interesting story. The auto industry is always full of them. And it involves a number of manufacturers and what their plans are for the internal combustion engine. This week, Toyota and Mazda said they're teaming up on new internal combustion engines that make a big difference. Nissan says it's not going to build any more internal combustion engines. And Volkswagen spends billions of dollars of its EV budget to build new internal combustion engines. How's that for a roll around the automotive industry and when it comes to budgeting and future power plants?
You know, I know that they're paid millions and millions of dollars, but I would never run a car company.
No, not now.
You'd die of ulcers within in a year or two. But anyway, over at Cadillac and Honda, they want to go into the hypercar business, which is, wow, that's a new one.
Yeah, there's a way to move from being a full-line manufacturer into niche manufacturing.
Yes, and spending a lot of money to do it.
Yes, you and I were just talking about Le Mans, and they say they want to build a hypercar that looks like what Cadillac races at Le Mans or something like it, which is pretty out there.
It's way out there. It'll be cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It has to be bought by people.
You'll stand out at the Stop and Shop parking lot, that's for sure.
You certainly will, at the Starbucks. And why a big truck or SUV might not be as safe as you think. I've been saying I told you so about this for a couple of years, and nobody's been listening. But
well, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety is listening. They've done some testing, and we'll tell you a little bit about what they found. A new study says a lot less people are considering EVs, and they're more excited about hybrids. So we'll talk about that, right?
And that's an I told you so for you.
Yeah.
And then we're going to take a look at Toyota's Crown Signia, which is a Lexus without the Lexus badge. It's kind of interesting. It's a really nice vehicle.
We'll talk about that and more when we come back on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Get out your road maps, everyone, because there's a lot of manufacturers talking about internal combustion engines, Les. And there was talk that they'd go away, but apparently they're not going away because Toyota and others are building what they call game-changing internal combustion engines. So let's start with Toyota. Toyota and Mazda are teaming up on these new internal combustion engines that their chief technology officer, the Toyota chief technology officer, says are completely different than the internal combustion engines. They will be both a 1.5 and a 2.0 liter engines, and he says they will be completely different, a shorter piston stroke, They're going to be smaller.
Yep.
They'll revolutionize vehicle packaging, enabling lower front ends. The torque lost in the process will be compensated by instant response from an electric motor. They are being developed primarily with hybrids in mind. Like, remember, most of the engines that are built in hybrid systems exist on their own, and they just, they
Right.
have them, so they integrate them into a hybrid system, right? These are going to be purpose-built. They even have the idea of powering them with synthetic fuel as a thought. So this is a big announcement for both Mazda and Toyota. And certainly if they're developing these new engines, they're going to run past 2030, 2035.
Sure. This seems like something somebody would have thought of years ago, but apparently not. Now, again, it's real easy to talk about this stuff, but when you sit down there and you actually engineer and machine the parts, that's where they separate the people that know something from those who don't.
From those who wish they did.
Who wish they did, and it's really, really, really hard to make something work, and then work in all kinds of weather, all kinds of stress situations,
and have Toyota reliability,
right, and last for 20 years. So tricky to say the least. But I love it. I love the idea of it. I love the fact that, you can make an engine, do what you want, and wherever you're losing the torque, you just have an electric motor taking the place when it's needed, or as part of it. So cool. I love people who design engines. It's the hardest thing to do.
Well, that's over at Toyota and Mazda, so they're going to share those engines. But meanwhile, Nissan has stopped spending money on new gas engines, but don't think they won't have gas engines in future vehicles. They have something called e-Power, which basically is kind of like the Chevy Volt was. The engine will charge the battery in their electric vehicles, but it will not directly drive the vehicle. There won't be any connection between the motor, the engine, and the motor. It will just be an engine acting as a generator. Now, if you remember, the Volt, once again, they used, I believe, a 1.4-liter four-cylinder, which I thought that is one big generator just to charge a battery, isn't it?
Yeah.
So who knows what they'll use?
It revved up kind of high, and but yeah, you got to get the energy from somewhere, and Nissan, I think they're underrated. People don't realize that Nissan, really is a fine company.
Now, on the same kind of idea, VW, which was very recently saying they would be all electric, is now spending billions of its EV development budget on gas engines. A full third of its 9-figure EV budget is going to go to new gas engines. And this was reported at an event held by Reuters in Munich, where they said the future is electric, but the past is not over. It is a third, and it will stay a third of our operations. So there you go. Change just doesn't stop when it comes to cars.
It doesn't.
And
remember, tomorrow is a future yesterday. So.
On that note, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Isn't that interesting? How quickly it changes.
It really is. I mean, quickly, with billions of dollars at stake.
Yeah.
This isn't, we're going to lose a couple $100. This is billions of dollars.
Yeah. Well, hey, it shows they can churn quickly, and they're not like the old days where, it takes us like 6-8 years to develop a car.
Well, that's the beauty of supercomputers.
Mm-hmm.
But, this affects thousands of people's jobs.
Once again, I think they should help the oil company. Don't paint them as I know this has to be done in the world of politics, which is terrible. Because politics is not about getting things done; it's about getting people elected.
Yeah.
They dropped congestion pricing in New York because they were afraid they'd lose the election. Isn't that crazy? But they spent billions of dollars on that to install all this stuff. I tell you, it's...
Well, when I become king, I'm going to change things.
They should not have to raise money for election and have PACs and stuff, but it's a whole business, Just do your job. If you get it again, great. If you don't, it's the roll of the dice. You make the choices that you have to make. Nobody's a leader. They're just a job maintainer. They're not like Eisenhower that, like, with D-Day, like if he screwed up, that's it. He'd have his, political head chopped off. But he was willing, said, I'll take the hit for it. I made a bad choice. I didn't get it done. I thought that was leadership,
Absolutely.
I failed, and now Did you just freeze? Oh, jeez. Network error. Hold on. You there?
Me?
Hang on. We disconnected. You there, Patrick? We just lost you. I'm back. You back? You hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Disconnected.
In 5.
All right, Les, you're coming in.
Okay. Cadillac and Honda?
Yes.
Cruise control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. Speaking of hypercars...
What?
I was speaking of hypercars. You were trying to avoid the subject, but no. In fact, we teased that Cadillac and Honda want to go into the hypercar business. Now, that's a weird business because it's what is made is really, really expensive. Look at the Bugatti Chiron.
Yeah.
Chiron, however it's pronounced. And these things are a couple $1 million, $3 million.
All the Rimac vehicle. Yeah.
And
Pagani.
And it's
Pagani, right? Or is it? Yeah, Pagani.
Right, and Pagani.
Pagani, that's it.
And the one with the longest name. But it starts with a Z. Koenigsegg, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cadillac and Honda actually want to go into this business. Now, I can see Cadillac doing it because it's a high end, but Honda isn't the first company I would think of that would want to go into this business.
Is it chest pounding? Is it leveraging racing and turning it into a, use that technology and make a hypercar? I mean, do they make a lot of money off of hypercars? It seems like it's low volume.
I wonder if they do. I think they do it for the love of it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the original Bugatti Veyron lost about $1 million on every one they sold.
No, it's almost as bad as electric vehicles.
well, except that they knew they would, because the idea was it was an engineering exercise that the company said, okay, you can do it. just to see if it can be done. And as time has progressed, it's probably breaks even or makes a little money. I don't know. But Cadillac is planning to build a hypercar. They're not confirming anything specifically about the development. They may draw upon their Formula One and Le Mans endurance racing efforts.
If they do get a team in Formula One, right? Because Andretti's trying to do that.
Well, yeah, see, they're not exactly, at the Ferrari level of Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
But, Formula One is great if you're winning, but otherwise you're spending millions upon millions of dollars playing at that game.
Their Project GTP race car, which was later renamed the Cadillac V-LMDH.
Yeah.
Which is possibly the worst name for a car.
That pretty well killed it right there.
But, I guess Honda does have a sort of hypercar. They had the NSX, and they're talking about building a new NSX, but this would not be a hypercar. Acura. It's an Acura NSX. I don't think that last version did as well as they thought it would.
It didn't. I'm really surprised because it was a nice car.
Future collectible, maybe?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Well, of course it was unveiled really toward the end of the financial crisis, 2008, 2009. So that bad time for that. Yeah. But it's a heck of a car.
Well, there's also talk that Honda may team up with Aston Martin, and they might use the Red Bull RB17 hypercar as a basis for their hypercar. It's just real interesting, with all that's going on in the automotive world. We're talking about internal combustion engines coming back and money being spent and EVs and all the technology and self-driving that they would even contemplate this.
Yeah, I don't get it.
So I don't know. I don't know why they would do it, really. It doesn't make financial sense, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't have to.
It does put a shine on the logo. It gets a lot of attention.
Yeah, that's true.
It's great advertising.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay the ad companies.
Yeah, and they've already paid for some of this technology in racing. So
yeah,
it's aerodynamic. But how do you make it legal and make a car like that roadworthy and also legal for things like pedestrian safety and integrate all the safety systems into it?
Yeah.
But
I admire it. I admire the effort, but boy, oh boy, just the sheer risk of losing all that money.
And how many cars do you sell? Yeah. By the way, Le Mans is coming up next weekend. Yeah, it's going to be on Motor Trend in the U.S. and always fun. I like watching it at night and feeling glad that I'm not there driving because it's foggy and you're really tired and you drank about 20 cups of coffee, right?
A little bit of drizzle coming down and you're going down the Mulsanne Straight. Well, you can't go 200 anymore. They
have a chicane. Yeah, they put a chicane in there. Yeah. But it's true. And it is definitely true. Hold on. We're having a little technical difficulty here. Yeah. All right. It is definitely true that it is exciting to watch. And there used to be, before they put the chicane in there, they had a restaurant right along the Mulsanne Straight, and cars would go by at 220, things like that. So while you're eating your foie gras or your steak and frites, right?
That's right. Whereas the driver stops in the pits and he eats a half smoke and
That's actually
load of coffee.
a whole bit of science there. They actually have chefs that make food where you don't have to go to the bathroom. It's not heavy, so you won't get tired. And you don't want to drink a lot of coffee because, believe me, as someone that's worked through the night, you feel terrible after you drink a lot of coffee.
That is true. Very few people. Everybody saw Ford versus Ferrari, and I happen to know that this is 1966. Ford spent $23 million in '66 to field those GT40s and win.
Yeah.
So think about how much that would be today.
Yes, and yes. So I think the way to drive Le Mans is get a simulator and you can drive it. And if you lose it on a turn, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
You can hit the reset button. Hey, we've got plenty more cruise control coming up here. Why big trucks and SUVs may not be as safe as you think. We'll have some IIHS studies on that. And a new study says, Les, that people are not really considering EVs as much as they were in the past. Plus, we'll have a look at this vehicle. One I'm actually going to review this week. Well, I won't. I'll review it next week, but I won't. I'm driving it this week. The Toyota Crown Signia Limited, which is quite the vehicle, right? Wow. And let's talk a little bit about safety of larger vehicles, right? Large SUVs, IIHS tested some of them, and they weren't necessarily the safest vehicles out there. You would think large SUVs would be super safe. There's a lot of steel around you and all that, but it's not the case, is it?
It's not the case. There are other factors to consider. One, of course, is their sheer size and weight, which can easily make them unstable in extreme situations. Also, the passengers in the back can bounce around all over the place in a serious crash if they're only wearing a lap belt. A lot of problems with big SUVs. Obviously, if they hit a smaller vehicle, then they come out ahead. But
right.
That's, you get a false sense of security in these things. I've seen most people I see driving big ones are driving like they're driving a Honda Civic.
That's true. Some of these numbers, they tried out the Chevrolet Tahoe, the Ford Expedition, the Jeep Wagoneer. They all tried for the top safety pick plus rating, and you would think these vehicles have been around for a while. They're large vehicles. They have all the safety equipment. It didn't get the top safety pick, and the first two didn't even receive distinction. And these are very... Not. Yeah, the Tahoe received an acceptable rating in the small overlap front test, and a poor rating would be, it talks about the different ratings,
worst.
Poor, good, and acceptable. The Expedition scored marginal in the small overlap. Of course, this is one of the most difficult tests where they're basically kind of going halfway across the hood, right, and hitting an object that doesn't move. And you would think these things would be very good at this. They have a big hood. They have a lot of steel out there.
The driver's dummy's head hit the steering wheel in some of these, in the Wagoneer. They're big, but they are not safe And the other problem, which IIHS doesn't address, which I will address, is that the drivers of the big SUVs don't understand what they're driving.
Yeah, exactly.
They're cutting turns too tight. They're late braking, which is dangerous and expensive. So they're driving these things like they really shouldn't be. You should be driving it like it's a bus and not a Corvette.
Yeah, remember, they are very high up in the air. They have a lot of weight on top of them, and they're basically a pickup truck that's been made into a large SUV. But as you said, when it comes down to them hitting a smaller vehicle, then the larger vehicle obviously will do better. Probably override the big vehicle, I would say, right?
Well, it could very well do that. It's a real problem. But they're there, and people are buying them. So it's up. If they want to get good crash ratings, they're going to have to be re-engineered.
Yeah,
which could make them so expensive that very few people will buy them.
Yeah. You look at something like the EV9 from Kia. That seems like more of the future for a large SUV than just basing it on a pickup truck. But I don't know. They're very popular. They sell a lot of Tahoes and Suburbans and Wagoneers and Expeditions. Yep. You see a lot of them on the road. So, but it's a $90,000 vehicle nowadays. So it's not like it's cheap.
Yeah.
So, well, let's talk about a new study, Les. This is from AAA, and you and I have been talking about this for a while, about EVs, and all the while it was exciting, the early adopters, the new vehicles coming in, people talking about it. It was the hot topic at the coffee clutch.
Right.
Everyone has to buy an electric vehicle. Now, AAA did a survey, and only 18% of those surveyed would consider an EV, down from 23%. Hybrids are the hot topic, and electrics are kind of off the table for most.
Well, again, you're right. We've been talking about this now for 6 months.
Yeah.
When things were going real hot with electrics, but now people are, well, first of all, they're very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. Second, range anxiety is just really bothering people. Maybe it's because they're thinking, well, wait a minute, I'd kind of like an electric, but it doesn't fit with my lifestyle very well, and they make the decision, well, okay, I won't buy one now. Which we advise people, get a hybrid.
Yeah.
Plug-in hybrid.
Yeah.
It's probably less expensive, and it's very economical. I guess, what do you think? Do you think that maybe the active market for EVs just got drained? That they all estimated there'd be more than there was, and when they ran out of the market, everything just kind of plateaued.
I think people are just not there yet. For the vehicle size they want, they have to spend $80,000-$90,000 to get a vehicle with less range.
Right.
I always tell people to dip their toe in with a Chevy Bolt or maybe a Equinox EV now when that's coming out, and or lease, because these vehicles, while they're very expensive now, and some of the higher end ones have lower range, it doesn't pay to spend money on them and then have something that's kind of outdated, because developments are happening really quickly.
And make sure you've got enough available electricity in your panel in your house to conveniently charge these, rather than have to go out somewhere to to charge
Right.
them.
People are telling people that, oh, it costs $500, $600 to get it installed. I know around here it costs $2,500, and if your panel can't support it, then it's going to cost some really big money.
It's going to be real expensive. But you need a 60 amp circuit, just like you have for your dryer. And if you don't have one available, okay, you can plug in on a 120 circuit, but you're looking at many hours of charging. You'll get sick of that.
There was a guy that made an innovative product, Les. It was in California. Many people have their washing machine or dryer in the garage, and it was a switchover box, so you could use when you weren't, because you're not using your dryer all the time, so you could charge your car on that circuit, and then when you needed the dryer, I believe if you turned the dryer on, it would switch over. It was pretty slick. I thought, good idea, good niche.
That's clever.
Yeah. Well, when we come back, we're going to take a look at a Toyota that is really kind of like a Lexus without the Lexus badge, the Toyota Crown Signia. So stay tuned to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We'll be right back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Sorry about that, Les. Got a couple of more stories here, though. You and I have been kind of talking about the future of the business, and interesting news from the folks over at Genesis. You and I like their product lineup. What were we talking about? Well, electric vehicles versus hybrids. So this is an interesting case. The GV70, great vehicle, available as just a gas model, and then also available as a fully electric model, which I've driven, which is great. You wouldn't tell the difference. And then it is now going to be available as an extended range hybrid, an EREV, which will utilize a small engine as a generator to charge the electric battery. It will be U.S. specific, and that should be coming sometime around later in 2025, I would imagine. They're going to it's going to be about 2026, they say. But they're also talking about hydrogen in their lineup as well. Another manufacturer talking about hydrogen. So interesting stuff, right?
It is interesting. Genesis, as you and I talk about all the time, is just a really solid company. They make terrific products, not inexpensive, but a value. And here they go with their technology. And again, you keep saying it, that Hyundai and Kia are going to own the EV business eventually. I agree. Genesis, of course, is part of Hyundai. I mean, look at that. They can sort of just say, okay, what do you want? We can configure it this way or that way, and there you go. And they do it really well.
Well, let's talk about another company that does things really well, and that is Toyota. And this week they revealed their 2025 Toyota Crown Signia, and it's in a unique turn of events. I have this very car as my review car for the week. I just got it yesterday, so I want to drive it and do some reviews of it. But it is very luxurious. And it's kind of described as the Lexus that is missing one thing, and that is the Lexus badge. It is so luxurious, and it's an interesting point because some Toyotas are very luxurious. You're like, well, why would I pay more for a Lexus? This thing is basically a station wagon. And it is available with a hybrid system and all-wheel drive standard. 240 horsepower hybrid system. 38 miles to the gallon. And interesting that the grille is the same color as the bumper color. As soon as it pulled in, I thought, that looks like an electric car with that style, but it's not electric. It is a gas hybrid. So 2 grades, 100% hybrid, 100% all-wheel drive. And it is, I think, going to be a harbinger of the future of the Toyota lineup, with almost 40 miles to the gallon, a decent size, lots of luxury, all-wheel drive. This seems like it is primed to do very well, doesn't it?
It really does, and they're pricing it pretty smartly. Because all that luxury is, starts at 43,000, which is a little bit less than the average vehicle sales number in the country, and goes up to a higher grade of 47,990, which again is just right there at the average transaction price. Pretty, that's pretty impressive, because it really does look like a full-blown Lexus inside.
Yeah, I think that the two brands have come very close together here, and just something about this vehicle, the shape of it, the silhouette of it, the interior, all that, it is, I think, going to be one of their big sellers. And on top of it, 38 miles to the gallon, in a luxurious vehicle with all the safety goodies, all the latest and greatest functionality. They call it a sanctuary on the road. I just think it's a knockout for Toyota. But let me drive it, and I will get back to you. Maybe we'll do an at the wheel review of this next week. How's that sound?
Yeah, I'm anxious to see what you think of it.
Yeah, the model I have, it only has like 980 miles on it, so it's a real new vehicle. And I was surprised to get it so quickly, which might mean that we're doing something right here on Cruise Control. So
yeah, it's not often over the years that we've gotten a vehicle during the same week that it's being unveiled. I know it happened once to me, and I forgot what it was. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, but just a good vehicle with all the latest technology. Standard all-wheel drive. I mean, that's something to think about when you're buying a vehicle. They say, oh, well, look, it starts at this, and then you realize, oh, it's front-wheel drive only or something like that. These are all hybrids, all-wheel drive, and I tell you, I think it's going to be a good vehicle for them. I have the Signia, which is the top-of-the-range model. I don't know what the other models are like, but we'll dive into it and have some information for you. So, hey, do you want to do a quick round of influencers doing stupid things?
Oh,
that's almost a new feature here. We talked about the one guy that was mounting cameras on his cars and racing police and then posting the video. Funny thing, they found out where he was, and there was the video evidence. So he got arrested for that. But now there is a new one. Alex Choi is charged with shooting fireworks at a Lamborghini from a helicopter, and I believe you need a permit for that.
At the very least, you need a permit for that.
Yeah.
That's just stupid.
He is 24, and he's charged with causing the placement of an explosive or an incendiary device on an aircraft. And he made his first court appearance this week.
I'm sure.
He could face 10 years in federal prison, and that's no joke, is it?
This kind of stupidness just for Instagram or other video is just it's going to get a lot of people killed eventually if they don't cut it down. And this Choi guy has pulled stunts before, and he's gotten in trouble. So I suspect he's really going to get in trouble on this one.
And he's listed as the director in the credits, so it can't say like I did know about that, So he was driving a Lamborghini while two women in a helicopter were firing fireworks at him. And
wow.
And that's a problem, as they say.
Well, now tell me, who piloting the helicopter would let somebody fire fireworks out of it?
That's another. I think that might be a problem for the pilot.
I think that's a crime.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if they just start doing it and you didn't know, maybe. But let's say they said, "Oh, we want to get some pictures of this Lamborghini driving around." For a video, and then all of a sudden they start firing fireworks. I mean, and you're flying the helicopter. I mean, there's not much you can do, is there?
Well, you can tell them to stop. You can
maybe
away.
he did. I don't know. Maybe they did. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? But yes, wow. Influencers gone wrong. Hey, we appreciate you listening to Cruise Control. Don't forget to check us out on all our social media platforms where we don't blow anything up. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We'll see you down the road.
Bye.
Woo! Made it through. That was just that weird patch.
That was a close call.
Yeah, I was like, all of a sudden it's like, and it's impossible to talk when you lose connection to Patrick. It's like such a big delay internally in the box.